Doug Collins is a former member of Congress representing Georgia. He is an attorney, as well as a pastor and a chaplain in the Air Force Reserve, serving as a lieutenant colonel. Now, I don't think I have to tell you, Georgia's been a flashpoint in recent weeks as Governor Brian Kemp has signed into law a new voting bill intended to strengthen election integrity. But like most things these days, it's been called a racist attack on voting rights by people like Stacey Abrams. Here to bring some sanity from the Peach State, please welcome a dear friend, former Congressman Doug Collins. Doug, it's great having you here. I have admired you, watched you in Congress. You would stand up to Jerry Nadler and some of those guys like nobody else did or could. I miss you being in Congress. I hope I'm going to see you on a ballot somewhere else.
Well, we'll just have to see about that. But standing up Jerry Nadler is not hard because you only come to right here.
Very well said. Georgia has been in the crosshairs of a lot of attention because of the voting law. A law that even these corporations like Coca-Cola and Delta didn't have any problem with as it was being passed. But then a little bit of rustling, and Stacey Abrams, the activist in Georgia, started saying that it was a racist bill. Give us the skinny on what this bill does and doesn't do. Who's telling us the truth?
They picked up on an issue, and I want to hit this one right here.
Okay.
Talk about water. Everybody's heard this, oh, you can't give water in lines.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. What was happening was people, if I and you were running, I was running, we knew we could not go into the line with Collins for anything, Senate or whatever else. We didn't have these things on there, so we just went in and we put those, we couldn't hand anything to line. They were having groups, organized groups who would have issues of who matter, Black Lives Matter, others, or this matters. We're giving out things in line. All we're simply saying is that they can put water out there. There'll be water if you want it. But what really bothers me is when they came out with that issue of water, and they were simply saying that this affects minority neighborhoods and everything. Did they not think that these, to me it was just upsetting to me to think that they would think those neighborhoods wouldn't know to bring water with them.
Yeah.
It goes back to this mindset that they believe, liberals believe that government or others think better for the people. And I know for a fact that it's conservative thought because we actually care about people. This voting law is just a fraud, and Stacey Abrams is the biggest pusher of voter suppression in Georgia, not this bill.
I'm glad you mentioned that because she almost single-handedly, I think perhaps did, cost Georgia and specifically Atlanta having the All-Star game, a $100 million economic powerhouse. All those people, most of whom were minority, that would have been affected by having the All-Star game. Do people in Georgia realize that she's running that kind of scam and that she is the one costing them that kind of opportunity?
What was really interesting for me is these corporations and others who now came out against this bill say, well, this part could do something. And my question is are these same corporations now going to not introduce a product because it could fail? Are they not going to hire somebody because they could be a bad hire? The only thing that has actually happened that has been detrimental to the state of Georgia, the only thing that has actually affected someone in the state of Georgia is President Biden, Stacey Abrams, Raphael Warnock, John Ossoff, and all the other Democrats and liberals across the country who pushed the Major League Baseball to take over $100 million out. Those are the ones who've actually, if there's been harm, the old legal principle, who's been harmed, they're the ones that's been harmed. They're the only ones that's harmed anybody. This bill actually expands voting and allows people to vote where they have actually harmed based on a lie.
Doug, Joe Biden, the president, made the comment that this was like Jim Crow on steroids. Now, I thought of all the things that I've heard him say, and I've heard him say some weird stuff. That was one of the strangest things I've ever heard, that somehow a bill that actually expanded voting rights was reintroducing Jim Crow. But he got away with it.
Oh, he gets away with everything. But my problem here is when he talks about Jim Crow, for those of us who grew up in the South, who actually went through history lessons, the Jim Crow era was a stain on our history. Sure. It was something that we should not go back and say and compare something like this that actually expands voting rights, that gives people more encouragement to get out and vote, and compare it to scare people. I am tired, Mike. I'm tired of liberals scaring people about what things are going on. I'm tired of it.
And I think so many of us are growing increasingly unhappy with that. We saw companies like, I call them Coca-Cola now, and Delta Airlines, very disappointed in both of them, who capitulated to the pressure and came out and said the bill was bad and just made very inaccurate statements. Let me say it that way, inaccurate statements. Let's go to the positive side. Home Depot, also headquartered and domiciled in Georgia. They were pressured to speak out and declare that the voting law was bad. They just said, look, our job is to encourage everybody to go vote. We sell hardware and stuff, and this is not our issue. And I wanted to stand up and applaud. I'm going to buy everything I can from Home Depot. Exactly. I hope other people will. We have to have companies with the guts to push back.
Well, we do, and I think, you know, and I'm very proud that my son actually works at Home Depot, and he's in it as we went through college. But what is it about this fact that is so hard to understand? There's a lot of things that they could have picked on that you could have spun a different way. It could have been, this is just a bill that they cannot point to anything that actually deters voting, stops voting, or makes voting less safe for somebody to vote, or less apt to fraud. Those are the kind of things that really you got to look at. And this vote, you know, it's just been amazing. I'm going to just call it the other way. The lies that's been told about this bill.
You were in Congress and fought the good fight. Will we be able to get Congress back in the hands of Republicans and take the gavel from Nancy Pelosi in 2022? Seriously, are you optimistic that the American people are seeing the power grabs that are going on?
We as conservatives have got to stop using bumper sticker answers. We have got to stop giving the easy answer saying, well, it's just the left or it's just the media. We've got to get back and actually engage in this discussion. Joe Biden's presidential agenda is going to give us plenty to work on. Nancy Pelosi gives us plenty to work on. And we can explain that. But what we've got to do is actually, number one, get out people to vote. We've got to go tell them why conservative principles matter. It's not simply enough anymore to say, well, I'm a Republican or I'm conservative. People will turn you off. We've got to get back to the old faith traditions of going and witnessing. We just got to go share and say, look, it's conservatives who actually believe in you. And when you look at somebody and you tell them this is not a policy, this is about you, how you can help your family and do those kind of, that's how we win votes. Can we do it? Yes. Is it going to require work? Yes. We can't depend on how bad they are. And I've already seen it. I've seen some of the conservative commentators, well, the left is just so bad, we're just going to win it in a landslide. No, we're not, unless we actually go do the work.
I'm so glad you said that. Congressman, you are spot on when it comes to that. It's going to take a little more. I want to say thanks so much to Doug Collins for being with us. You can follow him, and I hope you will, on Twitter at Rep. Doug Collins. And you can listen to Doug on the radio if you're in the Atlanta area on WMLB 1690.